Welcome to book haul number 2. This week, last week in fact, I had a hell of a lot of books to get through, but I couldn't get through them all for whatever reason. It was mainly to do with the fact that there was so many of them and I didn't want to do a hour-long video getting through them all, so I thought I'll break it down into sections. So this is another bag, and there's 2 more bags the same size over here, but we'll start with this. I just got this the other day. I'm a huge fan of John Carter. I read the comic books, the John Carter Warlord of Mars comic books that Marvel did in the sort of late 70s, early 80s. It was Marv Wolfman who instigated all of that, and I remember him writing this sort of editorial, but this is what he grew up with. He grew up with reading these. Forget Tarzan, he said. I read John Carter, and I was a huge fan of it in the comics. In fact, one bit of trivia that nobody knows is that number 27 of the comics, the Marvel John Carter Warlord of Mars, back in the day, was the very first artwork by Frank Miller. So, yeah, good. But I've never read the books, so I actually came across this the other day and bought it, and it's sort of a compendium of 5 John Carter books. So it's obviously A Princess of Mars, which is what it all came from, The Gods of Mars, The Warlord of Mars, Thuvia, Maid of Mars, and The Chessmen of Mars. So this is going to be quite good. It's illustrated, so it's very nice. Can't find any illustrations to show you. Oh, there's one. There we go. Lovely sort of pictures and stuff. So for those people who don't just like everything with words, there's pictures. Ooh, I like pictures. Can it be a picture? So let's get into the main book. That was one that I just bought the other day that arrived. That wasn't initially going to be part of it. But, so let's move on. I used to have a copy of this many years ago. Transition by Ian Banks. I couldn't tell you what it was about because it was so long ago when I read it. But there's an upcoming Ian Banks video I'm going to do, which is going to, not so much an Ian Banks video as more of a, is it science fiction or is it not, or is it something else, is going to be the theme of that video. And this is one of the books that's going to be in it. Obviously this is science fiction, so this is going to be one of the positive cases. So stay tuned for that. That's gonna happen probably in the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks. We'll see how much time I've got. I'm going on holiday this week, so won't have the time to do it until, yeah, probably a week after I get back. But look out for that. That should be interesting. I'm going to enjoy doing that one, actually. It's another one that I read. This is actually one of my favourite books of all time, and I see this cropping up on people's top 10 quite a lot as well. This is the SciFi Masterworks hardback version of Canticle for Leibowitz by Walter M. Miller Jr. And I used to have the paperback of this, but I think I gave it away to charity for some stupid reason. Maybe because it was getting a little bit dog-eared from all the reading I did of it, because I read it more than once. So I thought I'll get that from my little library up here, and that's a good one to keep, and it fits in with the rest of my sci-fi, my SF Masterworks ones. I don't know if you can see them up there, along there. Good. I had this book many years ago. I had a paperback version of it. This is a short story collection by Arthur C. Clarke, and this is a hardback version, which is also illustrated, which is really nice. Fantastic illustrations. A very nice thing to have in the library. I've seen this crop up a few times on eBay, etc. But I got this for £1 in a charity shop. So you can't beat spending £1 on a fantastic book of classic fiction. That's that one. Now we come down to ones, hardbacks. Sorry, paperbacks, hardbacks. Obviously my favourite author of all time, Roger Zelazny. My favourite because I don't get anything he's ever written. It's just, he's one of these guys that I think I stated in a previous video that I was going to do a mindfuck video. And one of his books was going to be in it. I could probably drop all of his books into it because they're all a little bit like that. But good, entertaining stuff. So these are part of the Amber series. I've never heard of these until I saw these. So I picked up 2 of them. I think there's only 2 of them in here. The Blood of Amber, which has got nice amber sort of pages. I've got the Trumps of Doom. Trumps of Doom. That sounds brilliant. We'll put that down. And then we've got some others. I've got another Arthur C. Clarke one. This is the Pan version of A Fall of Moondust. Now I've read this, and I think I might have a Masterworks version of it somewhere. But it is one I like the Pan books. They look really nice on the shelf. So there's quite a few of them in that sort of format that I managed to pick up recently. So they'll probably all feature at some point. Maybe not in this book haul, but in others. John Wyndham. Everybody loves John Wyndham. I had never heard of this one. I love the cover of it. It's like the sort of mushroom cloud with the skull showing through in it. So I have The Day of the Triffids. I have The Kraken Wakes and a few others of his. Chalky. I read Chalky not so long ago. In fact, I'm going to do a review of Chalky because it's I'd never heard of it. Yeah, I know, probably the only person in the world that never heard of Chalky, but this one's called Jizzle, which is another brilliant and I think it's a short story collection. I saw it, I thought that's brilliant. Just the cover alone, and John Wyndham, you know, you got to love John Wyndham. Moving on, Harlan Ellison. I think this one is also a short story collection, is it? It's a short story collection by Harlan Ellison. I may be mistaken. Maybe it's not. But I don't have many Harlan Ellison. I don't think I've actually read many Harlan Ellisons in my time. But so this is another one. This is probably going to go on my TBR as well. There's more. There's lots of these to get through today. So more Harlan Ellison. The Glass Teat. This is this isn't so much a novel. It's more like a critique of television and television culture back in the day, and a lot of it's very prophetic. I've had a leaf through this. I've read some of it just to get the gist of what it's about, and it was very prophetic because these days practically everything he says in here is the case. So I'm looking forward to reading that more. This is like going to be a holiday book. I think I might take this with me on holiday at the end of the week to read. Arthur C. Clarke, The Fountains of Paradise, another good one. This is a book about the building of a space elevator where they have to use a sacred site, a sacred religious site, and it's kind of, the story is mostly less about the science and more about the sort of clash between New World science and Old World spirituality and religion and superstition. And I enjoyed that book, and I'm glad I got this copy of it. This is a very nice copy. I like the cover. It goes on at the back as well. It's sort of wrap around, and I think the cover kind of shows, you know, you've got the sort of religious imagery right next to, you know, the shining sort of modern technology, which is what the book's about. So I like that cover. E van Vogt, I've got a few up there. I think there were a couple in the last book haul, in book haul number 1. These are 2 others that I added to it that were also like £1 in a charity shop each, and I thought I'm having them. They're really in good condition, both of them. Don't know, will I ever read them? Probably. I will probably read them on a whim at some point. I've read one E van Vogt this year already, and yeah, it was interesting, the plodding. I did a review of it in Goodreads, very short one, but I'll probably link to that on my Goodreads page, because I do try to do some brief reviews on there with the books that I've read, and you can also see what I've been reading. So this one here is The Darkness on Diamondia. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Nice cover, sort of like futuristic glass sort of city, or Diamondia. Yeah, there you go, made of diamond. Looks cracking. Brilliant artwork. They don't do stuff like that anymore, do they? E van Vogt, another one. This is Renaissance, and this one's got like a guy in a funny suit and some sort of traumatized woman lying on the floor. Don't know what that's about, but put that up. Next, what else do we have? The next two, right, we'll do those two separately. I've got John Barnes, A Million Open Doors. I've never read anything by John Barnes. That cover looks very familiar. People used to draw a lot of these sort of big yellow superstructures that kind of look like the battlements on battleships and stuff. But yeah, I don't know what that's about. I'll have a look at it and see if it's something that I'd be interested in reading. Other than that, purely because I don't have any John Barnes, it's a good addition for the library, so I'll put that there. Next up we have Isaac Asimov, The Caves of Steel. The classic robot novel. Aren't all these books about robots? Some way, shape or form. Yep, just like all of his robot books, the 3 laws of robotics written on the back there. I might read that. I've kind of not read enough Isaac Asimov, and because he's so famous, I kind of feel obligated to do so. So, yeah, that'll go on the reading list. We've got some Larry Niven here. I don't have enough Larry Niven in my library. I have read Ringworld. I think I read the entire trilogy. I've got the Masterworks edition of Ringworld somewhere up there. This one's called Flight of the Horse. That doesn't look like a horse to me. Looks like a dragon. Larry. The Ringworld Throne. So this is the sequel to Ringworld and the Ringworld Engineers. So this is the third one in the trilogy. So I don't own the Ringworld Engineers. So I maybe need to look that one out and get that just so as I've got a complete trilogy. They don't match because it's a different edition of this I've got in the first version. But yeah, I liked Ringworld. It was sort of like it was a nice sort of adventure sort of story. Okay, so in the last video, I think I mentioned Bob Shaw. I have Bob Shaw books here. Big pile of them. The one on top was one that nearly made my what 3 books for this week. But I missed it out because it's the start of a series, and I didn't want to do the start of a series, and there was another reason, and I can't remember what it is off the top of my head right now. But The Ragged Astronauts is the first book in a series which includes The Wooden Spaceships, which is the second book of the trilogy, and Fugitive Worlds, which is the third book. So I picked these up. These are obviously a different edition from that one, but you know, it's nice. I've got the complete trilogy. It's another good one. I might do a trilogies video at some point, and it'll give me an excuse to read all of these, including the other one that he did, which is the Orbitsville books. So yeah, we'll do that. Next up, we have, well, there's another Larry Niven here first. A Gift from Earth, which is good. These are just an amazing nick. I picked these up in a charity shop, so whoever has handed these in has really looked after them. They're brilliant, and you know, kudos. I would find out who that person is and give them a medal, because I do like people who look after books. That's fantastic. So that's another Larry Niven. Okay, so this one, I've seen the movie, and I don't know whether it's a comedy or horror or what, but it's Ballard, and this is the movie tie-in version of High Rise, which is one that he wrote. My favourite Ballard book is actually one called Hello America, which I have up there, which I read at the beginning of this year, again, after having read it many years ago. I'm going to do a review of Hello America at some point. It may be sometime before I get to this one, but I definitely will read it because I do love Ballard. I have the Drowned Earth as well. I have the hardback edition of that, The Drowned World. There we go, so that's my SF Masterworks Drowned World, which apparently is worth a lot of money. It's quite rare these days, so yeah. I'll be keeping it though. not giving it away to anybody. So that's that one. Next up, we have, yes, we'll do this one. David Mitchell, Number 9 Dream. I have Cloud Atlas. I've read Cloud Atlas. In fact, I reread it this year again as well. Brilliant book. I love Cloud Atlas. I think the book is fantastic. I did enjoy the film. I thought the film was quite a fair sort of representation of the book. It tried to stay as faithful as possible. And it was actually quite, those things in the film that alluded, that were different, that didn't exist in the book, and vice versa. But the kind of, the overarching story was the same, which is one of my favourites. So on the strength of that, I've decided to read more David Mitchell. He's not necessarily science fiction, but he's definitely a good writer, and it is very intriguing. Cloud Atlas is very intriguing. I also have The Bone Clocks, which is another one that he did that I'm going to get around to. So I'll probably read those two back to back, just so that I'm up to date with David Mitchell. So that was a good find as well. Also in great condition. I always say that if I get books that, if I see books in a charity shop out in the wild, wherever, that are better than copies that I have, that I will buy them, and that's the case for this one here. So Woken Furies, Richard Morgan. Huge fan of the Takeshi Kovacs novels. The series was good. It was watchable on Netflix. You know, there's so many film tie-in books these days, and books that have films. Yeah, I think I'm going to do a book versus film video series as well, just so as I can properly discuss that and address these kind of things. So, yeah, there's a very good reason why they stopped at 2, and that's because the third one involves aliens and stuff, and I think they were worried about it getting a bit far-fetched. But yeah, so Richard Morgan, I think that's, apart from the big one that I had in my other video, which is Broken Angels, I think the large format one, I only have one other Richard Morgan book, which is Thin Air, which is like a more recent one. I don't have a copy of Altered Carbon. I used to have one, but I'll keep an eye out for that. The other one, I read The Long Earth, and it was an interesting idea. It's one of those kind of things where it's a book about a mystery that needs to be solved, which is good. But I found that it kind of trundled on a little bit, and at the time that was what I thought. But it was obviously popular because there were sequels. There's The Long War, which I have as well. So I have The Long Earth and I have The Long War, and this is The Long Mars. So I don't know how how involved that's going to be, The Long Mars. You know, is it going to be like an endless succession of them going to uninhabited versions of Mars for all eternity? It's got to be more involved in that, surely. But yeah, I will probably return to that and give it a go at some point in the future, just not anytime soon. One that I'm interested in reading, when I was a younger man than I am now, I read these. They're fantasy, but they're, well, I don't know. I'm going to call them science fiction. The Chronicles of Thomas Covenant. Alternate reality. He has leprosy. Leprosy's science, isn't it? Diseases are science. So yeah. So we're going to call this science fiction, okay? It's not fantasy, science fiction, right? So yeah, there's lots of like craft in it, you know, like woodcraft and stonecraft. That's all science, isn't it? That's science. There's lightning. That's science. So yeah, we're going to call that science fiction. Stephen R. Donaldson was a huge fan of that, but then he actually went from fantasy into pure proper science fiction. So he did the Gap series, science fiction books. So this is the first one, The Real Story. And then we have Forbidden Knowledge, A Dark and Hungry God Arises, and chaos and order. It's kind of like the Stephen King Gunslinger books, in that it starts off really thin and gets thicker and thicker as you go. But yeah, I've always wanted to read these, and I found them, charity shop, £1.50 each. So that was £6 I got the whole lot of the books for, which is a bargain. That's just brilliant. So, that's the first bag out of the way. And book haul number 2. If you like this, please click like. Give me a big thumbs up, thank you. It's going to help the channel. I see I've had a few views already of the first videos that I've put up, so hopefully that picks up soon. If you're going to like it, please do like it. If you want to subscribe, please subscribe. I'm planning on doing loads of content, and if you're a book lover, I'm hoping that I'll be able to do something that you find interesting. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching.